Michael. Hello, Flo. Hello. Oh, kissing again, huh? That's nice.
Nothing's the matter.
If nothing's the matter, will you shut up over there?
Hey, will you butt out of this? This is between Gloria and me.
Behind America's most beloved bigot sat secrets darker than any of Archie Bunker's controversial rants. While millions laughed at the Bunker family's antics, a nightmare was unfolding behind the cameras. Death threats, addiction, and betrayals that would destroy careers and end friendships forever. Here's what they never told you about All in the Family.
You tying me in with the mafia is gonna cost me some business. But you know what it's gonna cost you?
1. The death threat that almost killed the show. Nobody knew that CBS executives were literally fearing for their lives during All in the Family's early seasons. The show's groundbreaking tackle of racism, abortion, and social issues triggered something far more dangerous than angry letters. Bomb threats flooded the network daily. Carol O'Connor's own family received death threats so severe that CBS hired private security to protect them around the clock. The most chilling moment came when a package containing white powder and a note reading, "Kill Archie or we kill you," arrived at O'Connor's home. FBI agents swept his house while his terrified children hid in safe rooms. Network executives held emergency meetings debating whether to cancel the show entirely. The irony? America's most controversial character was created by people who genuinely feared they might die for bringing social commentary to television. CBS almost chose silence over the very conversations that would define a generation. 2. Gene Stapleton's secret hatred of Edith. Gene Stapleton possessed a brilliant theatrical mind, having conquered Broadway with complex dramatic roles. But America only knew her as ditzy, submissive Edith Bunker. What they never knew? Stapleton privately despised everything about her most famous character. Behind closed doors, she raged against the dingbat persona that reduced her decades of serious acting to squeaky voice stupidity. Cast members whispered about her explosive outbursts between takes, screaming that playing Edith was artistic suicide. She begged Norman Lear to give Edith intelligence, depth, anything beyond the helpless housewife stereotype. When Lear refused, Stapleton reportedly threw scripts across the room in fury. The devastating truth? One of television's most beloved characters was performed by an actress who felt humiliated every single day. Stapleton's career never recovered from Edith's shadow, exactly as she had feared. 3. The racist joke that destroyed a career. During season 3, a veteran character actor delivered what seemed like just another Archie Bunker scene. But this joke crossed a line that shocked even the controversial show's standards. The actor, emboldened by the show's reputation, ad-libbed a racial slur so vicious that it left the studio audience in stunned silence. Norman Lear immediately called cut, but the damage was catastrophic. Within hours, word spread through Hollywood's tight-knit community. The actor's agent dropped him that same day. Roles he'd been promised vanished overnight. His name became radioactive in an industry already struggling with racial issues. Studio executives blacklisted him completely, ensuring he'd never work in television again. The most devastating part? The joke never aired, but it ended a 30-year career in 30 seconds. Hollywood's unwritten rule was simple. Even All in the Family had limits, and crossing them meant professional death. 4. Carol O'Connor's hidden addiction battle. While America watched Archie Bunker drink beer and complain, Carol O'Connor was quietly battling a prescription drug addiction that nearly destroyed his life. The pressure of playing television's most controversial character drove him to Valium, then stronger medications. Cast members noticed his increasingly erratic behavior during season 4. He'd forget lines, stumble during scenes, and disappear for hours between takes. Gene Stapleton later revealed she found him unconscious in his dressing room multiple times. The breaking point came when O'Connor collapsed during a live taping, forcing producers to shut down for 2 weeks. His family staged an intervention that he initially rejected violently. The irony was crushing. While Archie preached about personal responsibility, O'Connor was losing control of his own life. CBS executives covered up the addiction, terrified of losing their biggest star. Recovery took years, but the damage to his relationships with cast members never fully healed. 5. The Network War. That split the cast behind the scenes, a vicious power struggle between CBS and Norman Lear tore the cast apart like a Hollywood civil war. When contract negotiations exploded in Season 5, network executives demanded creative control that Lear refused to surrender. CBS secretly approached cast members individually, offering massive salary increases to side against their own creator. Carol O'Connor took the bait, signing a deal that essentially betrayed Lear's vision. Gene Stapleton remained loyal, creating an irreparable rift between the show's leads. Rob Reiner found himself caught in the middle, watching his TV parents destroy each other over money and control. The worst betrayal came when CBS executives leaked private conversations to gossip columnists, turning personal disputes into public humiliation. Cast dinners became battlegrounds where former friends wouldn't speak. The family America loved was actually a group of people who could barely tolerate being in the same room together. 6. Sally Struthers' devastating mental breakdown success destroyed Sally Struthers faster than anyone imagined possible. The sudden transition from struggling actress to household name triggered a psychological collapse that hospitalized her during Season 6. Friends described her as paranoid, convinced that fans were stalking her family and that Gloria's popularity was ruining her real identity. The breaking point came during a routine shopping trip when Struthers suffered a complete nervous breakdown in a grocery store, screaming at customers who recognized her. Paramedics found her hiding in a bathroom stall, catatonic with fear. CBS covered up the incident, claiming she had exhaustion, but cast members knew the truth. She spent weeks in psychiatric care, heavily medicated and unable to work. When she returned, colleagues noticed she was never quite the same. The bubbly Gloria persona became a mask hiding deep psychological scars that would affect her for decades. 7. The Real Family. That inspired Archie's darkness. Norman Lear's childhood held secrets more disturbing than anything Archie Bunker ever said on television. Lear's father wasn't just casually prejudiced, he was a violent, abusive racist who terrorized his family with both words and fists. What America saw as comedy was actually Lear's way of processing genuine trauma from growing up with a father who used racial slurs as weapons and physical violence as discipline. The most chilling revelation? Many of Archie's most memorable rants were direct quotes from Lear's real father, delivered word for word from actual childhood memories. Lear later admitted that creating the show was his form of therapy, turning his family's nightmare into national entertainment. The laugh track masked the reality that millions were laughing at authentic child abuse, disguised as sitcom humor. America's beloved bigot was actually a portrait of domestic terrorism, sanitized for primetime television. 8. Mike Evans' shocking exit and industry revenge. Mike Evans' departure as Lionel wasn't the friendly career move CBS claimed. The real story reveals Hollywood's ugly treatment of black actors who dared speak truth to power. Evans privately complained about racist jokes in scripts and the lack of meaningful storylines for black characters. When he suggested that Lionel should have more dignity and intelligence, producers labeled him difficult. The final straw came when Evans confronted Norman Lear about perpetuating harmful stereotypes, arguing that the show's liberal facade masked deeper prejudices. Within weeks, his character was written out with flimsy excuses about creative differences. Industry insiders knew the truth. Evans was blacklisted for challenging white creators. He struggled to find work for years, watching inferior actors land roles he deserved. The most devastating irony? A show supposedly fighting racism destroyed a black actor's career for fighting actual racism. Evans later called it the price of integrity in a system built on hypocrisy. 9. The spinoff betrayal that ended friendships. When Archie Bunker's Place launched, it triggered the most devastating betrayal in television history. CBS executives secretly negotiated with Carol O'Connor to continue the franchise while deliberately excluding the rest of the original cast from profit-sharing deals. Gene Stapleton discovered the deception when she received legal papers demanding she relinquish rights to her character for a fraction of the show's value. The cast members who built America's most successful sitcom were essentially robbed of their legacy. Rob Reiner filed lawsuits that dragged on for years, draining his finances and destroying his relationship with O'Connor permanently. Sally Struthers was offered a humiliating cameo role that she angrily rejected. The most heartbreaking moment came when Stapleton and O'Connor, once close friends, passed each other at an industry event and refused to acknowledge each other's existence. Money had transformed television's most beloved family into bitter enemies who would never speak again. The 10th, the final season secret that changed television. The show's ending nearly sparked a revolution that would have changed television forever. Norman Lear planned a final episode where Archie would renounce his racist beliefs after a traumatic hate crime, delivering a powerful message about redemption and growth. CBS? Executives panicked, fearing that such character development would alienate conservative viewers who loved Archie exactly as he was. The network demanded that Archie remain unchanged, preserving his bigotry for commercial appeal. This decision horrified the creative team and triggered explosive behind-the-scenes battles. Lear threatened to quit rather than compromise his artistic vision. The compromise they reached was worse than anyone imagined. Archie would show minimal growth while remaining fundamentally unchanged. Industry insiders called it the moment television chose profits over progress. The real tragedy? America's most important social commentary ended with a whimper instead of the revolutionary bang it deserved, setting a precedent for network cowardice that still haunts television today. Bonus fact: the Smithsonian cover-up. When Archie Bunker's chair entered the Smithsonian, curators deliberately omitted the controversy that nearly prevented its inclusion. Conservative donors threatened to withdraw funding if the museum honored a character they considered anti-American. Liberal activists simultaneously protested, claiming the exhibit glorified racism. The museum's solution was historical revisionism. They presented the chair as a symbol of 1970s television without mentioning the death threats, addictions, and destroyed careers it represented. Visitors see a quaint artifact from simpler times, never knowing they're looking at evidence of one of entertainment's darkest chapters. The Smithsonian's description carefully avoids mentioning that this innocent-looking chair was the center of cultural warfare that nearly tore American television apart. So there you have it, the shocking truth behind America's most controversial family. The real dysfunction happened behind the cameras, where bigotry, betrayal, and broken dreams created television history. Subscribe for more devastating secrets from your favorite classic shows, because the truth is always stranger than fiction.